Now, you should also make an effort to learn each child's environment, where the child comes from. A classroom is made up of unique individuals, and sometimes, as the year goes by, we start to deal with the class as a classroom, as a whole, forgetting that it consists of individuals. And every individual is different. They all make up a class, and there's a sense of community here that we're going to talk about later. But we need to always remember that they are individuals, and we must treat them as individuals. Teachers should make an effort to learn where each child comes from, and take the time, please. I know time is very valuable with teachers, and a lot of teachers don't have enough time, but we must take the time to know each student's personality. How? I have 4 main suggestions. Okay, there are other ways. 1, speaking with parents about their children to learn more about the environment of the child. You will be surprised, okay, sometimes, maybe after 2 or 3 months, at the end of the year, that this child has separated parents, or that this child has gone through a major trauma in his or her life. And then you suddenly understand why he's been doing this. I shouldn't wait till I discover. A teacher must be proactive, not reactive. When is the first parent-teacher conference you're meeting? When? After how many weeks of school? Do I have to? Do I? The grades. And if the parents even show up. So why do I have to wait to know such information? Okay? I should be able to speak with the parents and be proactive. Before I even, some teachers do this, very important, before I even start the year, okay, I have a class list the week before beginning the year. I know who's going to be in my classroom. I go to the administrators and I get the phone numbers of the parents. I call the parents, I introduce myself, I have a short conversation, a chat, and then I ask certain questions about the student. And then after meeting the students, I follow up with the parents. Okay, I don't have a class list. I wait till I have a class list. I wait maybe perhaps the 1st or 2nd week of school. However, a teacher, a parent, will appreciate that you are taking the initiative, not waiting for the teacher, the parent, to address you. Speaking with administrators. Now, it is an administrator's job, as part of the job description of an administrator, to have information, enough information about each student. I can't just have a student walk in, say, I want to enter your school, pay. You paid, go in. I need to know a lot of things. That's why they have something called an interview. But the interview is not something that an administrator just speaks with the parents and then says yes or no. There has to be records. I have to know what the problems facing this particular student are. It's very valuable, okay, to know the profession of the parents of each of my students. If his parents are doctors or engineers or lawyers or businessmen, if his parents have PhDs or if they didn't even finish school, it's important for me to know. These little things will help me deal with each individual student.
No, I think the admins need something. It's not the teachers.
We actually have been asked by 2 schools to have something like this, and we may be planning something like this, but not this year. Anyways, thank you though for this note. It is true. Sometimes administrators really need to know how to do it. Yes. Yes, but it's their responsibility to make sure that they have an accurate. It's not enough just to have an email address or a phone number. Okay. For example, let me give you an example. Some schools, for example, are now trying to switch to email, and by the way, email has become so old. Yes. Okay. Some students now feel insulted when you ask them for their email. Email. Okay. Facebook is becoming old. Okay. So it's really evolving very fast. Everything is becoming old. If it's here now, then it's old.
New is becoming old.
Yes, that is true.
You know, when you check the profile of your students on their Facebook account, you can know a lot more about their interests.
Let me tell you something about Facebook. Now, I have sent an email to all of you, the ones I have the emails of yesterday, with the brochure and the link to the video, and I have also sent an automatic Facebook request for those of you on Facebook. Now, don't feel, for those who attended last time, excited. Don't feel afraid, okay, after what I tell you now. But Facebook is an excellent spy tool. Let me just say why. Let me just say the meaning of spy. It means I use Facebook to read, but I don't use it to write. I am on Facebook. You're all my friends. I'm never going to write anything. Okay, I'm not talking about me, okay? But I will every day see what you're doing, okay, for my students. And then, why am I saying spy? Why do I say this? Because they will consider you invisible. That you never write anything on Facebook, they're going to forget you're there. But you know what they're saying. And then in my class, when I put this little note somewhere hidden that addresses something I know you've written this morning or last night, it will get some kind of relationship between us, and you will never expect that I actually sat down and read what you wrote and planned that I will say this in a certain part of my lesson plan to address you especially. It's very far-fetched, but it's true and very effective. Speaking with the students, have conversations with students, and remember what I said. If your student is hard to reach, use the methods that like what we've been just talking about to build a relationship. And relationships with students, especially older students, if you're talking about middle school and high school students, must be gradual. Some teachers start the school year, start the week by being extra friendly to the students. And the students fear it. When I feel this, I either know that this teacher is not being sincere, or I fear him. Why is he being so friendly? Okay? Friendliness and relationship between teacher and student must be very gradual. Okay? It has to take a lot of time. Remember what we said before, and I said I object to this saying. It says never smile before Christmas. Now, I object to it. You should smile. Okay? But basically means that you start school in September. Christmas is in December, so you have all of September, October, November, half of December perhaps. So about 4 months, don't smile. And then you start to smile, and then you become friendlier. Of course, don't take it in the literal way. However, you should know that a relationship, especially with older students, must be gradual to gain their trust, their respect, and then to gain their friendliness. Three levels. Trust, first of all, respect, and then friendliness. If you start with the friendliness thing, things are going to go well, very, very well at the beginning. But then, once you feel that you're losing control and you start to establish authority, you're dismissed right away. You're not my friend anymore. So beware of these cases.
I apply that. I'm very strict with the students. I set that standard in order to know. As time goes by and I get to know them, by the end of the year, I will recognize my students
Next year, exactly.
And then I always used to beg my administrator, please don't be teaching for the next year.
Of course.
Of course, you always refuse.
Did you realize two things here? I have just learned two things. I have just learned two important things, or actually maybe one important thing if I can put it in just one point about Mrs. Consistency. She said two things today that I remember. I shouldn't just remember them, I should write them down. One was that she believes that the consistency and the rules should be something that all teachers do. Two is that she said that she likes to have the same students the following year. And this shows that she is attached to the students that she teaches. She puts in effort, and she feels that there has to be cooperation in order to fulfill this effort. Some teachers, on the other hand, can't wait for the year to get over with and beg their administrators, just like you do, not to give them the same students. Okay? Observing the students' behavior throughout the day, and this is what we were talking about a little while ago. Observing their behavior. Okay? How do they speak? Are they confident? Are they bored? When there's something that I say, do I feel that they become intimidated? What makes them excited? Who in class is their friends? Who is perhaps bullying them? Trying to observe a student all day long gives you a very good idea. Okay?
They are different during your classes and during the break. There are
Very good.
someone else during the break.
Yes, observing students during break is also very important. This is part of break duty. Break duty is not something that you should do. We all hate break duty. Okay? Very good. And some teachers actually go to break duty and take the word break without the word duty. So the kids are over there playing, and then he sits over there and talks on the phone, eats food, doesn't look at them at all. And break duty means you're caring for their well-being, you're making sure nobody's hitting anybody or hurting anybody. But you're also observing them outside the classroom to see how they behave. Okay. Number 8, model citizenship. Before we get into this, please let me just, in break duty, if I have a student who is hard to reach, and then I find that this student loves to play soccer during break. Okay, I have just learned something that I can relate to the student by giving something that has to do with soccer. Perhaps if I want to start a conversation, by starting the conversation that way. So you get a lot of this.
You can ask them what they expect of friends.
Exactly, for example. And they don't have to know that you actually mean this. Like if I saw him playing soccer today, I'll ask this a week from today. Okay, so he doesn't say that he just meant it now. So you have to be deliberate, exactly. A super teacher models citizenship, and this is very important now, after what has happened in this country. A super teacher models citizenship. Let me start with this point here. Schools must. At the end of the day, schools are factories, in one sense or the other. They produce something. And what they produce should be educated citizens, not educated children. A school should produce educated citizens, not just educated children. The word citizen here is very important. What is a citizen? Citizenship is defined in the Merriam-Webster dictionary as the quality of an individual's response to membership in a community. Now, look here at this word. It is the response to your membership in a community. It is not a feeling. It is a response. Okay? It is something that you show, something that you prove, something that you do. So this is citizenship. In other words, it is the feeling of responsibility and actually showing this responsibility. Citizenship doesn't mean the citizenship of a certain country, but it means your citizenship in your country, your home, and your school. If you look at the difference between schools, where if you ask an adult, what school did you graduate from? Some just say the name of the school and then move on to something else. And others are very proud. They have the pins, they have the clothes, they have the pictures. They're very proud of their school. Why? This is called citizenship, and this is something that they learn from their teachers. Okay? So we have to teach them how to be citizens of their school, of their home, of their country. To love their school, to love their home, to love their country, to be responsible and care for school, home, and country. Super teachers must demonstrate their responsibility. I can't teach you to be a good citizen and demonstrate responsibility without me myself demonstrating this responsibility towards the school and the country. Okay? There's some kind of event after school. I can't show the kids that I'm there. I'm forced to be there. No, I'm there because I love the teacher.
But you ask the kids to come and you don't
Exactly,
show up.
and you don't show up or you come very late. Okay? So be the first person there. Show them that you love the school, even if you don't, because you are a deliberate teacher and you're trying to teach them something. Okay? You don't have to actually mean it. Second thing, your country. Okay? And this is shown very, very simple. For example, I put this. I put a flag at the back. And I actually didn't say anything about it. And I've been working now for maybe 2 weeks, after the revolution. I didn't say anything. But I know when they're coming in and out, they glance these things. Okay? They smile and they leave. I'm teaching them something very, very quietly without actually making an issue of it. Okay? When students learn citizenship, they act more responsibly. This is very important because at the end of the day, I want my teaching to be easier. When they learn citizenship, when they actually care for the things that they have, they become more responsible. And when they become responsible, this responsible attitude enhances their discipline and their learning. If you tell a student who has no sense of citizenship, you must learn because you are the future. You will be the future doctors and the future engineers and the future lawyers of this country. We depend on you. If they don't have the feeling of citizenship, they're just going to say it's nonsense. What you're saying. So I can't say that without first teaching them what citizenship means. And citizenship begins with the classroom. It begins from kindergarten. I teach the kids to clean their classroom. I teach them to put their things in place. I teach them to wash their hands. I teach them to put everything in order. I punish them if they don't, just as parents do with children at home. I can't have a child writing on the desk or writing on the wall or breaking something in class and just ignore it. I can't see a mess done by a child here and then go call the cleaning person to come and clean it. No, you have to clean it because you made the mess. And same thing for me as a teacher. I dropped something or I broke something, I have to fix it. Okay? I banged on the board, the clock fell down, it broke down. Tomorrow, I'm buying a new clock and I'm making an issue of it. I was wrong, class. I'm sorry. I bought a new clock and I bought an even better clock because I love my class and I put the clock. I didn't say I don't care. So model and teach citizenship.
Make school a small country.
Yes, of course. And make the classroom even smaller. Has great expectations. We spoke about this before, and this is something that you cannot ignore. A good teacher, a super teacher must have excellent, high expectations of their students. And when we say of their students, we please stress on the word all. I cannot expect the best out of the good students and expect less from the weaker students. Okay? This is not expectations. This is laziness. Okay?
With the same level for all.
No, I expect a better level for all. A better level for all. For example, I can't say that the person who I know entered my class before me saying any word. I know that this person can score 700 on the test out of 800, for example. I know for sure. And then I just go along with the year and claim at the end that it was my work that got him the 700. I know he can get a 700 before I even said anything. I need to expect the 700 person to get an 800. And then I come to someone who I know will get a 400 by himself. And I expect nothing of him, I don't help him, then he gets a 400 and say, it's him, it's not me. No, it is me in a way. I need to expect the best out of all students. And expectations must be clear to the students. They have to know what I expect of them. Okay, this reinforces their self-esteem and it helps them learn better. Expectations are self-fulfilling prophecies, like we said before. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I expect you to do something, and I really encourage you, and really show you that I'm serious about my expectations, very good chance that you will do what I expect of you. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, if I expect little of you, you usually deliver little. Or maybe even less than what I do. Because most students reach the level that is expected of them, however low or high, and some students sometimes even go beyond that level. Super teachers must show their students every day that they have very high expectations of them. I have to show them every day, every single day, that I have high expectations of them. This is excellent, okay? But I know that you can do better. Okay? I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. It's perfect. But I know you can do much better. Please do a better one because I want to hang it on the wall. Okay? You can always do better. This got a 7 out of 10. But there's some strange secret about the 7 out of 10. I really can't understand how it got a 7 out of 10. Are you sure you're the one who wrote it or did somebody else write it? Because I expected that you get a 10 out of 10. I'm sure you can get a 10 out of 10. Please do it again and I'm sure next time you're going to get a 10 out of 10. Some teachers start out the school year by giving grades. What does that mean? Some teachers take the names of the students and they tell them, okay, today's the first class. We still haven't started anything, correct? For the first quarter, you all got an 8. Okay? You got an 8. Scores are done. You all got A's. Because I expect you all to get A's, and I know you can. Now it's your job to work for the rest of the quarter and keep your A and not make me change it. Okay? So it's not, I'm going to see what you're going to do, then I'm going to grade you. No, I know you can all get A's, I'm positive. They're going to look at you. Don't look at me. I've been teaching for 10 years. Okay? I've taught 562 students. And I know that you can all get A's. I'm positive. How do you know? I've talked with your teachers from last year. I've seen your tests from last year. I know every one of you. I've spoken with your parents. And I know you can all get A's, so I'm giving you all A's for the first quarter. Now please work hard and keep your A's. Don't make me change it. This attitude has children paying more attention and trying to actually keep the grade that they got. Okay? So, always show them that you have very high expectations of them. Number 10, a super teacher controls his or her temper. I was going to write it the correct way grammatically. It should be his or her. Okay, but then I opted to write his because I realized that the majority are hers, so I don't want anybody to feel Alienated plus, I don't know who loses temper more. Enforcement. So let's take a look. Now, why is it important to control my temper? Because children lose communication with a teacher who has a bad temper. How am I going to talk with someone who I know if I say something wrong will yell at me and snap? I'm just going to shy away. I'm going to take my own side. I'm going to be very quiet. I'm not going to ask questions. I'm not going to. They'll even fear asking questions sometimes. They avoid you. Okay, and this is the first thing that we don't want to happen. Young and old children feel disrespect. These young and old. Never say old. Young and old. All children. Okay, babies feel respect and disrespect. Very important. And once they feel disrespect from a teacher who has bad temper, mutual respect is essential. And once they feel disrespect from that teacher, right away they disrespect the teacher. They may not show it. Some will. The bolder students will show disrespect. But those who are a little bit shy will disrespect you from inside of them without showing it. And once you have lost the respect of the students, you have lost everything else. There's nothing else you can do. So mutual respect is essential to a controlled classroom, and by having bad temper, you are losing disrespect. Okay? I looked through a couple of videos last night, and I was thinking of having one or two of them here today. But it's not really informative as much. I can just basically tell you can search. There are videos of teachers losing their tempers. Okay? And it looks terrible. No, you have to watch it. Okay? It's like watching yourself. One of the teachers, one of the students, her phone rang twice. And on the third time, she actually answered the phone during the lesson. He grabbed the phone and slammed it on the floor and smashed the phone. Another student just lost his temper and held a boy and punched him in the face. It looks terrible. We all lose our tempers. But if you look at it as a student, you feel that it's really, really bad, really terrible. As a parent, if you film yourself and see how you sometimes yell and shout to your kids, you're going to feel sorry for them. Okay? And this is true. We all do this as parents. But it's really important that you try to put yourself in their shoes. Now the problem is I may have an issue with a particular student. Okay? But once I disrespect her, I'm not only going to lose her, I'm going to lose the whole class. So it's very important not to lose my temper. If I have an issue with her, I deal with her. And remember, we talked about last time, if I have an issue with a certain student is the ringleader or is the actor of the class, first thing I do is take the student away from the audience. Step outside, have the chat, punish, do whatever, then come back. It's better for the other students to guess what you did, other than to actually watch you and judge you, because you can't rewind. And once you have lost the trust and respect of children, it's really hard to get there. Okay, remember that a super teacher must be deliberate, remember? And it is very difficult to be deliberate when you cannot control your temper. If you can't control your temper, you're losing it, then you simply don't know what you're saying, you're not being deliberate, you're not delivering the message you want, you may be even ruining your message. Number 11, a super teacher is a developing teacher. Five core foundations, one of them was improvement. A super teacher must develop, must continue to learn and develop. Super teachers improve just as they expect their students to improve, like we said last time and in today's revision. So we have to improve. It is unacceptable for me as a teacher to judge myself as being the same. Even if the same is the best teacher in school, even if I got the best teacher of the year award, I still need to improve. Essential. And remember, improvement needs a plan. I have to plan what I'm going to do. This is something that I said I need to see in your mission statements. Okay? A plan. How do I plan to improve? Commitments. I will read a new book about teaching every month. I will attend a course at least once a year. I will build my own library for consultation. I will build a network of teachers who are very good at what they do in order to consult with them. I have a certain goal, a certain commitment to. 12, a super teacher maintains current and accurate records. And this is a very important point that most of us either do, but hate doing, or don't do it all. Okay? Paperwork. And paperwork here, records. And records are essential for anybody who has some kind of business or who has been trained in business, knows.
Like progress reports.
I'll say exactly what I mean. Any kind of report.
Daily.
Any kind of record. So they know that one of the most important things is to keep records of everything you buy and everything you sell. Okay? Maybe here taxes are a little bit, yes, it's a mess. But in other countries, exactly, bookkeeping. Bookkeeping, record keeping is very important. Okay? You have receipts for everything you've bought. Some people even deduct the miles they've driven with their personal car from business expenses, so they get receipts from the gas station and they write how many miles exactly so it's really complicated. As a teacher, you need to have the same bookkeeping or the same record keeping. I have to write down every single thing that happens. Okay? There are a lot of different types of records. Maybe we'll do this later on. But in general, you need to have a record of everything that happens in your class. Why? Never rely on your memory. Now, teachers are known to be the opposites of elephants, because there's a saying that says elephants never forget, okay? And teachers always forget. Because you may think now that you remember something perfectly, but you don't go home now. You go to another lesson, another class, and another meeting, and then you don't have time, and then tomorrow you go to another one, you forget what happened yesterday. So never rely on your memory, and always keep accurate, organized records. Parents and students will always deal with it as if you teach only one student. No parent or student will believe that you teach somebody else. Okay? They will all deal with you as if you only teach my child. Okay? And they will be very annoyed and insulted if you don't remember something. And you'll expect you to remember everything pertaining to that student. Okay? So, you will not be able to remember everything, but if you have records, then you will. Okay? Now, you have, you got a phone call, or somebody came and told you, Ahmed's mother.
We have another problem here. Because we don't know which one is the
This is a benefit. You all sound like sisters. So, for example, Ahmed's mother is waiting for you. Okay? Now, you just get in, you get out Ahmed's file, you read everything, put back the file, and you go back in. And before the parent even starts talking, I want to congratulate you on the great Ahmed got because the first month he got a 9, second month he got a 10, and last week he got a 12. He did this very well yesterday, however, he was fighting with so-and-so in break yesterday, and I fixed the problem, and then another teacher told me that there was a problem with him. How can I help you? Okay? If they're here to fight, you're not going to fight. Okay? So, problems with students, parents, and administrators can occur anytime. Anytime. Okay? Your records can save you precious time and injustice. A lot of times, you are blamed as a teacher, and a lot of times the administrators take the side of the parents. Okay? And the only way to justify anything you've done is by having records. Here are the scores. I wrote here on the day everything that happened these weeks. Okay? And your records should, if there's an issue, you should write the record and show it to the administrator on that day. Like after the lesson, a problem happened with a certain student, I write down what happened, I go to my administrator, I tell them the story, I show them the paper, I take the paper. So in the future, if something happens, the administrator will say, yes, he told me that day, he showed me this paper, here it is, everything that happened in details. So records are very important. Last thing, when students know that everything is recorded, they tend to misbehave less frequently. Okay? Some of the students, especially when we begin the year, some of the younger students perhaps, are overwhelmed by projector or computer. It's hard work. Okay? So sometimes I just tell them, yes, we have this, and then everything is recorded. Okay? And they actually believe me sometimes. And they are so afraid to misbehave and start looking around where the cameras are. Okay? There are no cameras. There is now. I'm taking this way. But there are no hidden cameras right now. But just knowing that everything is recorded really puts them in a position where they don't want to really misbehave or they want to work better because they know that you have enough record. But if they know that you they're not going to care about anything they do. Because you don't even know my name. You're not going to remember anything I do. Correct? And I'm trying to learn your names by not asking, but it's a little bit hard because the senior ranks are a little bit big. So, a super teacher involves parents, okay? Very important. A lot of times we're hostile to parents and parents are hostile to us. We must involve parents. Remember, there are 3 parents to a child: father, mother, and teacher. And if a child has one of the 2 parents, mother or father, who does not care, or both of them don't care, then the 33.3333% that you have as a third partner becomes doubled or tripled. In some cases, it becomes 100%. Okay? So you need a caring mother, a caring father, a caring teacher. Who's a caring mother or a caring father, you have the extra responsibility.
I think the teacher is the most important. They spend most of their time at school.
Of course they do, especially if we're talking. Yes, and especially if we're talking about the classroom arrangement that Mr. Chen was talking about, where you teach the kids the whole day. This is extra important. The education of each child is the responsibility again, remember, keyword, both teachers and parents. They are partners. Most parents appreciate teachers who involve them in their child's education and tend to be aggressive with teachers who distance them from the learning process. Now, it all comes to appreciate teachers who involve and teachers who distance. The words involve and distance. Are involve and distance active or passive verbs? English teachers, Mr. Ahmed. Active verbs, right? Active verbs means I am doing them proactively. I'm not reacting. It's not saying yes or no. It's not waiting for a parent to say, can I please have some information about my child and come and sit down with you, and then you say yes or no? No, it's about me requesting the parents to be involved, involving them in the first place, or me distancing them in the first
When you
place.
try and you don't get any response, you just tend to. I found this in Egypt.
But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something.
They don't
It's,
care.
but you can't change that. Okay, you can't change that. However, remember how we said that we are a third partner. If you know that the parents are not interested, then you know that you have an extra responsibility towards this particular child. How am I going to know without trying? Okay, so you need to try. And then sadly, if you know that the parents aren't interested, then sadly you know that you have these extra burdens.
And I think I have to take care of them. At home, Karen, I have to concern about what
Yes,
they're doing.
for example, if you know this particular student isn't doing any homework, and you know the parents don't care, I can't just say that it's the parents' problem. I won't write in the notebook, dear parent, please finish the homework, because I know they're not going to do anything. I tried. So I need to make sure that this student does the homework by my own ways. Yes.
I'm talking about the problem with the parents that I have to parent the kids because she brings interest to other classes just for 1 week during the exam time. And now I think she can learn that responsibility of the exam that they should enter the second part exam and they don't have the exam after that.
Again, it's the end problem, ya jamaa.
Yes, but again, you said that she was depressed and needed to go. Depression, yes.
I want to say sometimes you can involve the sibling. If you involve the sibling, sometimes it helps
Yes.
better than the parents.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me just respond to these 2 points.
At our school, at least, I found
It is a very good idea. It is a very, very good idea. First of all, judging the parents is never a good idea. Saying that they are right to do something or wrong to do something is not our job. Again, the parents have the right to take the child away from school completely and go to another school. It's their, it's right. I know, I understand. I mean, at the end of the day, if a parent takes a child and leaves, there's nothing I can do about it. I am the third parent, not the first or second. However, I need to be able to deal with something like this by communicating with the parent and explaining your point of view to the parent. If they respond, if they don't respond, and the student does leave and does come, you still need to find something to teach this student about responsibility. You have to find a way
I
out.
should take the whole responsibility for some parents if they are just careless. But the student, they just say in my face, they care more about my parents more than the teacher. So what can I do?
You don't get money. You don't get money. That's what it is. You don't give up. And they will know at the end, because when they grow older, when they think about it, they realize that you have no benefit exactly in doing this. And at the end of the day, they will respect us. It takes time, and some students are harder than others. It's not 100%.
بس كمان شيء problem هنا they go to American school just يعني عشان يعتبروا يعني that's the point.
Yes, but again, if you're talking about students who start younger and who I as a teacher request to teach the following year and the following year, it's much easier to deliver this type of culture. But if you're talking about someone who just entered school for 1 year in 12th grade, somebody new, and you can't really fix their lives here, but you can try to do the best you can. Mr. Talib had a suggestion here, and that is involving siblings, brothers and sisters. Sometimes if the parents really don't care that much, and you know that there is perhaps an older brother or sister in school, involving them to make sure that their brother or sister does their homework on time, and all this sometimes actually helps. And you here benefit by teaching to your original student and the older one that you actually care enough to go and speak and give him some kind of responsibility. So, last point here, that super teachers are proactive and are not reactive. Again, please remember this. We don't wait for them to ask something to respond. We always take the initiative. Last point, we talked about this before. A super teacher has a positive attitude. We're always positive. Okay? Always positive. Even if we feel that the parents are terrible, the school is terrible, and everything is bad, it is not the fault of the students. They should not hold the responsibility of having a negative, bored, frustrated teacher in class. They should always see me happy, optimistic, and positive, even if I'm just acting. Okay? But I need to deliver this message because this attitude is contagious. They have a positive attitude as well when they find my attitude this way, and as time goes by, we build a strong relationship. But if I'm bored or uninterested, right away they are bored and uninterested. And remember, the subject you teach is yours. Okay, if you're a chemistry teacher, then you are chemistry. If you don't like chemistry, or if you're bored about chemistry, or if you're delivering it that way, they will never like or love the subject matter anymore. So excitement is very, very important, positive attitude.